Hello, I'm Brian Wilkes. In part one of Native American New Moon fasting, I said that fasting could reboot or reset the immune system. Those are terms I thought would be understandable to an audience watching on computers, but let me give you a more thorough explanation. As I've told you before, I'm not a doctor or a licensed healthcare provider. I don't give medical advice. I don't diagnose or treat illnesses. I do teach about science and indigenous tradition. So let's hit the science first, and then I'll share some personal experiences. And if you're one of those who cannot or should not attempt fasting, such as a minor child, diabetic, hypoglycemic, a pregnant or nursing woman, then please don't. Otherwise, check with your doctor to see if fasting presents any special problem for you. Now, many people are calling what they do fasting. Intermittent fasting, 1 meal a day fasting, ketogenic fasting. When I say fasting, I mean no food, only water, perhaps unsweetened green tea, black coffee, or black tea. Now, when I'm fasting, my splurge is club soda. Continue any prescription meds, of course. When we stop eating, in the first several hours, we begin burning stored sugar in our blood. By the end of day one, we're burning through that sugar. Day two, the sugar's gone. We start to get hungry and perhaps a little bit cranky. Now, it's important to know this because you don't want to have a lot of frustration or conflict swirling around during a fast. Go find something peaceful, meditate, sing, do art, do music, or as the wannabes like to say, walk in balance on Mother Earth, aho! Now, by the end of day three, you'll start to burn fat. Your body burns off its sugars, then it starts burning a little bit of protein, and then that stops because your body jumps into the ketone phase or ketosis phase. Fat transforms into ketones, which are very efficient fuel for the brain found in your body. One mark of the ketotic phase is very foul breath. Imagine a fast food joint that hasn't changed its deep fryer fat for a few months. Now, some say it's more like rotting fruit. All depends on what your diet's been. The lungs, remember, are also an organ of elimination, and they're taking out the trash through your breath, and it will smell that way. So in the ketosis phase, you're starting to burn fat. You're also entering autophagy. Autophagy means self-eating. Your body is beginning to eat the leftover debris, proteins, fats, different intracellular proteins that are not being used. They're just sitting around as waste products. Kind of like emptying out your garage. Well, you begin to dump excess digestive juices, which are no longer needed. So your feces may look orange or even yellow and become increasingly loose. Don't worry, you'll make new digestive juices when you start eating again. Your body decides that all of the old, worn-out, damaged, or surplus white blood cells should also be sacrificed, so your body gobbles those up, then breaks them down. Also on day three, you have a dip in the immune cell count. If you fast for weeks, actually starve yourself without medical supervision, that could be bad for your immune system. But when we break our fast after 4, 5, 6, even 7 days, our body immediately starts sending signals to our stem cells in our sternum, the femoral heads at the top of the hip, the frontal bone in our skull, the places where bone marrow makes fresh blood cells, where the stem cells still reside. Those stem cells are stimulated to go crazy, building brand new fresh white blood cells. So you get a fresh white blood cell count and all of the different cells that we use in our immune system. The body almost explodes with all these fresh, active white blood cells. We call that a reset or a reboost, or a reboot. The white blood cells have their own intelligence. They remember the past pathologies you've had, so they still keep you healthy and immune from viruses or bacteria that they've learned to recognize. This is how we reboost our white blood cells and our immune system. So think of it as getting a hardware and systems upgrade. Euphoria starts coming somewhere between late day 3 and day 5. You start feeling kind of sparkly with more mental and emotional clarity. Your eyesight seems to improve. Your hearing seems to improve. Your smell seems to improve. You're not imagining this. Those are your instinctive hunting skills sharpening up to find you some food. One of the things that happens is you get a drop-off in insulin-like growth factor 1, or IGF-1. This is a growth factor associated with cancer cell proliferation and migration. There are some benefits from IGF-1, but there are some negatives as well because it assists cancer cells. One of the things that fasting does is attenuate that IGF-1, shuts it down, and that helps slow the progress of cancer, should you have any in your body. When you have very little sugar in your blood, most cancer cells can't survive. They're sugar dependent. They start dying off in droves. But if you do an extended or prolonged fast, which for our purposes means beyond 7 days, cancer cells also have their own intelligence. It's been shown that lymphatic gland cancer cells, called B cells, B as in beta, can switch to using glutamine in the absence of glucose for cell replication and survival. So your cancer cells learn to eat a different food. Now remember, our new moon tradition is to stop eating on the night of the new moon, also called the empty moon, and to remain empty for 4 days. That's 96 hours. Some have such great results that they gradually increase it to 7 days. One of my elders cautioned me against fasting out of economic need. Let's say I'm out of work during this shutdown, so why don't I just fast and not consume my family's limited and valuable food resource? He said the problem with that is that people who are a little too smart for their own good will subconsciously extrapolate to, oh, this could go on forever. I don't know when my next paycheck will come, so this may never end, and then I'll just die. Well, that causes a lot of stress, a lot of depression. Remember, I said you don't want additional stressors during a fast. That's why the tradition is to enjoy good, rich food just before the fast begins and after the fast ends. Think of the Lenten fast, 40 days, preceded by Mardi Gras, followed by Easter dinner. So to summarize, fasting lowers the white blood cell count, which in turn triggers the immune system to start producing new white blood cells. White blood cells are a key component of your body's immune system. Once you start eating again, your stem cells kick back into high gear to replenish the cells that you've recycled. The strategy is to fast for several days to get the benefits. You have to fully deplete your energy reserves in the form of glycogen. That takes your body at least 24 hours, probably 48 hours or more to do this. Doing it 2 to 3 times per year should give you maximum benefits. So doing it once each lunar month, which means 12 to 13 times each year, is going to be more than enough. We'll be coming back to part 3, and I'll go through some of my personal experience with this type of new moon fasting. Bye for now.